Hey gang, um, wanted to say Happy New Year's to everyone. It's probably a little late for some of you, but it is New Year's Eve where I'm at, and I'm getting ready to go out to do a little partying responsibly. And I just wanted to say Happy New Year, and uh, I wanted to finish my survey videos by wrapping up the spouses survey that I had. Some of the spouses, or all the spouses that I could find, of transgender women fill out these answers, and I think it's really interesting. You know, I want to again thank everyone that participated in the survey. You guys were super awesome, and you taught me a lot. I learned a lot that I didn't know already, and I learned a lot about human nature that I didn't know. The positivity, if that's a word, of the responses and the advice that you guys want to give, just shows your sincerity and your willingness to help, because you've had it pretty rough. We've all had, I'm not going to cry, feel sorry for myself, but we've all had kind of for those of us who haven't accepted this, or have had trouble accepting this nature of ours, it's been a rough time. Hopefully you'll accept it sooner than later, and or maybe through some of these videos and some of this education, you'll discover that transgender is not really where you're at, and that's fine too. We just got to try to be happy and get along, not hurt anyone, and not hurt ourselves. Anyway, with that, we'll get into the spouses survey. Not a lot, these are ladies that were willing to answer the questions. Probably most of them were in support groups or at social gatherings with trans women, and they came along. Their wives and their girlfriends came along. Not a lot. Doesn't happen a lot. Okay. My wife of 30 years, who I love more than anything, will not, hang out with Rachel, and that's okay with me. She supports Rachel. She loves Rachel. She loves, my male side, obviously, but she's not going to hang out with Rachel, and it is what it is. So I get to dress up and go out like this by myself. But I don't cheat on my wife. I love my wife more than anything. Okay, a little more information about me that you probably didn't need. The first question to the spouses was, what was your initial feeling at discovering your spouse cross-dressed, or when he came out to you? And across the board, 70%, the response was shocked, scared, confused, panicked. They were filled with disbelief, surprised. These are the words that 70% of the responders used. Basically, all mean the same thing. 30% of them already knew that their spouse was transgender when they met them, maybe post-transition, or they had a feeling. They met this guy and they had a feeling about that maybe there was something going on there, and then when he came out to them, it just confirmed it, and it really didn't bother him. Okay, that can happen. Your spouse, your partner better than anyone. If you can break the news to her, or come out to her, or try to get her educated or whatever. I don't know your situation, but everyone's is different. The second question was, what behaviors, or behaviors have kept you together? That was the way the question was written. And patience was the biggest answer. There was basically, all the responders had a little different answer, which is kind of neat, because you get a lot of great positive responses. Um, love for him, complete honesty was one that they decided right away, this is the way it's going to be. Okay, you've come out to me, you've given me this big secret. Now it's time to be honest. We're going to be honest about everything going forward. That's very important. That's very important, for women and for any spouse, any relationship. Once they understood that their spouse was a cross-dresser or wasn't really seeking surgery, didn't want to necessarily live full-time as a woman, they learned to live with this, aspect of their spouse and got along with it. The sharing your feelings, that was another of the response. Just share your feelings, honesty, openness. That's what wives really want. That's what that's the advice my wife would give. Be honest. Let them know they can handle it, but they have to have time to absorb it. But let them know. The third question was, do you have any advice for spouses of transgender women? And a lot of great responses. Once again, everyone wants to be helpful, want to help you out with this stuff. Be patient. Go to outings with your transgender spouse. Go to the social groups. Talk to other spouses in these social groups that do show up. Maybe go and talk to a therapist, primarily for education. A lot of people don't like reading books, and a lot of people don't believe what they read. So maybe if you trust a professional that has expertise in this field, go and get educated by them. And one response was, things could be a whole lot worse. I know when I came out to one of my daughters, her first response was, because I had a hard time saying it, fear of rejection, and the first thing she said was, oh my gosh, I thought you were going to say you had cancer. It's okay, Dad. So they need to know, to understand it. Give them time to understand it and get educated about it. Keep an open mind and communicate. Once again, there's the communication. And realize that they are the same person you married. But they're just now sharing a different aspect of themselves, or being honest, completely honest about this other aspect of themselves. Really, I don't want to beat people up. I'm not telling the spouses that may be watching this that they need to accept their husband, and they need to hang out with them and party with them and shop with them and let them dress like a woman all the time. I'm not saying that. That's a choice that every couple has to work out. But I really believe in my heart that if you can't accept it, then you need to learn how to open your mind, open your heart, and get educated about it, because it's really not that big a deal. If you're going to let society's rules, social rules, we're not talking about the law, social rules, guide your relationship with your wife, with your husband, and when you're going to worry about what other people think, then you need to work on it. I'm not telling you that you got to be girlfriends and hang out together as women all the time. I'm not saying that. But you don't have to divorce over it. Anyway, moving on. I'm not a psychologist, but it's not really that big a deal. The next question was, do the spouses, the transgender folks' spouses, have any advice for trans women themselves? And so now it's time to beat up on the trans women a little bit. With regards to saving the relationship, listen to your wife was a great one. And don't get defensive when she tries to, question you or talk to you. Don't push this on your wife. She needs time to absorb it and learn about it. So it's like the 10th time I've said that tonight in 10 minutes here. We're into the video. Don't push it on your wife. And I have seen, personally, have seen relationships dissolve because the husband just comes out and then can't stop, can't control it, and just steamrolls through the whole family, and they can't handle it. It's too much too soon. You gotta let them live with it. You gotta let them realize that you're still the same person. This is just something that you like to do, and it's harmless. Or that, hey, if you're transsexual and you have to live full time as a woman, then you got to do what you got to do. And I don't think that any woman should be made to stay in a relationship with a man that becomes a woman. I'm sorry, but she didn't marry a woman. She doesn't want to be with a woman. Even though you're the same person, you're really not. I'm not the same person. I've been on HRT for about 15 months, and I'm not really the same person I was 15 months ago. I have 90% the same, but 10% different. I'm actually quite a bit easier to live with, which is lucky for us. But you do change, and I'm on a low dose of HRT. If I were to go on injections and go on higher doses, things like that, I probably would change emotionally and physically a lot more. And I'm not ready to do that yet. That was it. There were 4 questions. Very helpful. These ladies, these spouses were very helpful, very positive. Obviously, they're ones that are working through it. They're out there in the trenches. And I want to thank everybody once again for responding. And I hope, actually saw earlier tonight, one of my subscribers wished me a Happy New Year. So I'll probably respond to that comment later. But I want to wish all of my subscribers and anyone that watches this video tonight a wonderful, happy, safe New Year. And my channel just recently got over 100,000. We're at like 101,000 views now, which I think is a pretty big deal for somebody that didn't think anybody would watch them to begin with. And they don't watch. The average view time is like 2 minutes, but I guess that's pretty good. But 100,000 views, and I was kind of excited about that. And I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. And thank you all. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Coming up, I'm gonna be doing transgender safety tips, and that also work great for any woman and men. Good common sense safety tips. I know a little bit about this kind of stuff. I want to share it with you without putting my certificates or degrees on the wall. I want to share some of this safety stuff with you, and we'll get into. We're going to talk about more serious aspects of staying safe, possibly defending your life. We'll get into some of that stuff and see if you guys can get some good information to help you make positive decisions about how you want to handle yourself when you're out and about. Hope it will help. Can't wait to get started on it. Probably be coming pretty soon. Anyway, Merry Christmas. You all had a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Once again, love you all. And love and peace to all. Let's just try to accept one another for who they are.